Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better rev than death, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance.
Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me, Lord. All alone, this tear's journey. Won't you walk with me? Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. this tear's journey. Won't you walk with me? Take my hand, Lord. Take my hand, Lord. All alone.
The 26th Mu is a well-oiled warfighting machine. Essentially, it is a Marine Air-Ground Task Force that's ready to respond to a multitude of world crises. Whether it's a NEO, non-combat evacuation of civilian personnel, embassy reinforcement, tactical recovery of aircraft personnel, or, hey, we could bring the boom with a kinetic raid. The 26th Mu is always ready and focused on mission accomplishment, despite any task. My experience of the Mu can be explained in two spectrums. First, warfighting capabilities and limitations, and second being that human dimension. The task organization of the Mu is the command element, the air combat element, the ground combat element, and the combat logistics battalion. The command element is the parent unit. It provides any command and control for planning. Basically, it receives information and tasking and then assigns its tasks by incorporating the appropriate elements that are subordinate to it to ensure mission success. The ACE is organized and here to support the 6 functions of Marine aviation, such as anti-air warfare, assault support, offensive air support, air reconnaissance, electronic warfare, and control of aircraft and missiles. When I think of the ACE, I think of hard work, long hours, and outstanding air support integration between itself and the ground combat element. The ground combat element is task organized for amphibious operations, such as but not limited to vertical assaults, mechanized raids, and amphibious assaults. It's simply put, it's where the boot rubber meets the road. It's those ground troops inside, infiltrating, pushing reserves, moving, locating, and sustaining. Whether it's 3-block war, passing out MREs, doing counterinsurgency from house to house, or inside of a hard kinetic fight itself. The Combat Logistics Battalion is the sustaining logistics hub. In reality, it's the bloodline of supplies that are needed to sustain any force, whether embarked on ship or ashore. The CLB's mission is to keep those supplies, and they've done an outstanding job in doing so. I can't even scratch the surface of the 26 Mu's capabilities. However, I want to talk about the human dimensions, because to me, it's the most compelling. You know, no one Marine is happy to leave their family behind and deploy thousands of miles from loved ones. However, it's the expeditionary mindset that provides us with the intestinal fortitude and the strength that Marines are known for, that make Marines unique from any other branch of the service. And it stems back to our amphibious roots. That I can attitude, the mental endurance, and the will to achieve from the Marines in the past and the legacy that they have created to the Marines of the 26th Mu today. It lives on, and it's evident in the work ethic and esprit de corps and morale on a daily basis. Just take ship life for an example. Ship life is unique in a sense that your personal and professional space is very limited. Your resources, everything is confined to a tight area. But in the spirit of improvise, adapt, and overcome, we, as Marines, flex into our environment and pool resources in order to have the most effective and productive training possible. What that means is having a sense of your environment, utilizing the space that you have, creating those engineered tape houses, making a movement course on the lower V, utilizing the vehicles and the confined spaces to maneuver in and out of. Every day is a mixture of technical and tactical training objectives, leadership education, and mission essential tasks to ensure our readiness. We keep the training moving because during peacetime, it is our mission to train for war. And that is a heavy burden for any leader, especially the young leaders inside of our NCO Corps. The non-commissioned officers aboard the 26 MU have a keen creative insight in the training because there is the possibility of it becoming mundane and repetitive. Training inside and out, day after day, you need to have a spark, a fire, an enthusiasm that lights inspiration into the hearts and souls and minds of your subordinate Marines. Whenever you have that inspiration and that enthusiasm, training becomes a result and not a focus. When Marine small unit leaders engage and basically decentralize control, they're able to cover down on any types of gaps that may be inside of the unit. I think of every organization and contrast it to the 26 MU. Every organization has a culture, organizational behavior, and having a chance to witness and take part of the 26 MU's culture has truly been an honor. I think that it's tested each and every single one of our core values in a sense that our commitment to our fellow Marine during the shift, to take care of their mindset, to take care of each other. We're truly committed in that regards. Honor, keeping our legacy clean as we've visited foreign lands and represented our nation and our beloved Corps to the best of our ability. And then the courage. When you think about the men and women serving in today's Marine Corps, asking them to embark on a mission that doesn't have a specific destination and there's a multitude of unknowns, it creates a lot of internal and external friction. The courage that one needs to face that uncertainty, that fog of war, is enormous. But then again, we go back to that expeditionary mindset, that adventurous heart that each Marine holds so dear. When we put the microscope over the human terrain that we navigate, you can find Marines of different creeds, ethnicities, genders, religions, and cultural backgrounds. And all of them are united for expeditionary readiness. How did this come to be? I ask myself that all the time when I look around. How did we become so potent, so powerful? And when you get to the heart of the matter and you do a little investigation, it doesn't take you long to realize that is a symbol of the dynamic command leadership team of Colonel St. Clair and Sergeant Major Parisi. It's their ability to harness esprit de corps, inspiration, motivation, leadership traits, leadership principles, all the dynamic leadership education that they possess, and giving it to their subordinate Marines unselfishly. It's amazing to think so many different Marines completing such a monumental task and doing it under the arrow of unity of effort. Everybody with that common goal to achieve. Nobody wants to let that other unit down. Everybody wants to show what their worth is. Well, under the guidance and intent, you'll find the symbiosis known as the 26 MU. And it truly sets the example of unity of effort, and it accomplishes the missions for our nation, our beloved Corps, and most importantly, it takes care of the Marine to the left and the right while doing so.
The nation needs the capability provided by the ARGMU, the Amphibious Ready Group, and the Marine Expeditionary Unit. The Marine Expeditionary Unit is less capable if it's not afloat on Navy ships that make up the Amphibious Ready Group. The amphibious ships, the LHD, the LSD, the LPD. Those amphibious ships that were designed to embark Marines, all our capability, whether it's aviation or whether it's ground. And then with the Marine Expeditionary Unit embarked on that Amphibious Ready Group, now the maritime domain becomes our maneuver space. That ARGMU is now able to choose the location and timing of where we go ashore and when we go ashore. Prevents, it puts our adversary in a dilemma trying to determine where is this capability, this robust capability, where is it going to come ashore? And with our ability, specifically our aviation assets, we don't specifically have to immediately land, the old amphibious assault from World War II or Korea, where you assault the beach with all the amphibious assault vehicles, establish a beachhead, and then move inland. We don't have to do that. We can put a rifle company, can put artillery, it can put combat capability ashore by bypassing the beach and just flying right over it. And that's what the MU provides, but it's got to be embarked on those amphibious ships. By being afloat, then that ARGMU, that Amphibious Ready Group, Marine Expeditionary Unit, now buys our national leadership some decision space. Because naturally, it takes time, several days for an ARGMU to, from a current location, to sail towards, the country and where there's an issue, where there's a problem, whether it's Americans that are potentially under threat, like one of our embassies, or potentially going shore for what might be combat operations. So it allows the President, his national security staff, the Secretary of Defense, the decision makers, the combatant commander, to have strategic level discussion about the employment of military capabilities and the desired end state that, from a strategic level, that leadership wants to achieve. So while they're having that discussion, this Amphibious Ready Group with the embarked Marines that make up the Marine Expeditionary Unit are sailing towards a hot spot. And then once we're off station, off the coast, and we're postured and we're prepared to really exercise across the full range of military operations. And it may be kinetic, it may be combat operations, locating, close movement, and destroying the enemy by fire maneuver, or it may be humanitarian assistance, it may be disaster relief, maybe it's within the maritime domain conducting a visit, board, search, and seizure with our maritime raid force. The maritime domain allows great freedom of movement. So that's why we're out here. Expeditionary Crisis Response Force afloat, able to respond to whatever that crisis may be with the assets that belong to the 26 MU today. I don't have to request any other assets. I can go to the fight, participate in that fight, provide that capability, whatever it is, ashore, right here, right now, today, based off of what's embarked on the 3 ships of the Amphibious Ready Group. As you saw in our exercise in Oman, Qatar, and Jordan, there is already a very strong and healthy relationship between the U.S. military and the militaries of those countries. So by continuing to, we continue that relationship and we enhance that relationship by maintaining regular opportunities to train together, an exchange of tactics, techniques, and procedures, an ability to learn more about a different culture, both Americans learning about, Marines and sailors learning about a different culture here in the Middle East, or those soldiers and Marines and sailors that we train with allow us an opportunity to share our culture. So it's that maintaining and enhancing of a relationship, and then it's also enhancing the capacity of those militaries to conduct operations, maybe from combat operations to humanitarian assistance to counterinsurgency, COIN, all those things those mission sets that we train for that are in our Mission Essential Task Force, we can also share and help train the countries that we train beside in our theater security cooperation exercises. With those exercises, we always first look at what are the training objectives of the host nation, because our military is very advanced from our equipment, from our training, and usually we train at a level that's a little higher than most of the partner nations that we train with in theater. So we first look to see what their training requirements are. What are their training objectives? What do they want to talk about? What do they want to do in the training areas? Is it live fire? Is it maneuver? They want to learn about, taking apart Humvee engines. Do they want to learn about, military police procedures and operations, convoy operations, to include integration with our aviation combat element? So that we ask them first, hey, what are your training objectives? And then we make sure that we have the right subject matter experts available to lead that training. And then it's just a share of, again, tactics, techniques, and procedures in exchange of culture. That is a very important strategic means for which our government or whatever the current administration in the White House to advance policy. Not only is policy advanced through diplomacy, such as the State Department, but it's also advanced through military engagement. A military engagement that is executed between U.S. forces and the foreign militaries that we train with once we're in a specific theater of operation. So, for most of the Marines and sailors, they see it as something that's very focused at the tactical level, to go out and shoot, move, and communicate, and try to make that young Marine sailor understand the importance at the strategic level of that exercise, because it not only does it help maintain and enhance a relationship between two militaries, the U.S. and the military of a foreign country, but in the larger picture, it's enhancing a relationship between the U.S. government and the government of another country. So that's the true importance of those exercises. I guess the message that I would have for the American public, the American people, and not specifically, about the Marine sailors of 26 Mute, there are no firemen. You won't find any better Marines and sailors that are out there. Of course, I'm biased to that. But all Marines and sailors that make up the amphibious ready group, that make up the Marine Expeditionary Unit, are pretty damn special. Just like any young American, and it's less than 1% of our population who decides to make the sacrifice and serve the country. And that's a very precious resource that I don't lose sight of, and I think about that on a daily basis. So that's the message to the American people, really, is that these young men and women like yourself who volunteer to serve your country, volunteer to make some pretty significant sacrifices early on in your life is amazing. And I watch on a daily basis. Sergeant I watch on a daily basis the things you do, whether you do your combat camera and you take all these fantastic photos that are making our Facebook page go viral, over 12,000 fans, and everybody just comments on the pictures and the pictures that you and the rest of the combat camera are taking. They're making Washington Post, they're getting posted on USMC.mil. So you got that, Marines who working on trucks, working on equipment, working on aircraft to keep all these aircraft flying all day. The ACE, the day doesn't stop for them. It's a 24-hour cycle. They got a day crew and a night crew. So you got Marines who put in a 12-hour day shift, and you got Marines who do a 12-hour night shift to keep the aviation elements, the aircraft flying. To the Marines and sailors who get put on ship tacks, the Marines down there in combat cargo. It's the Marines who, a machine gunner gets pulled away from his machine gun team because he's got to come work up in the wardroom or down in the mess decks serving chow. It's just amazing to watch what the young Marines and sailors of this MU, of all MUs, just Marines and sailors and across the both services is what you're capable of doing, what you do on a daily basis. So it's just, and that's you regardless of whether it's the Navy, whether it's the Marine Corps, you're seeing that same level of enthusiasm, that same capability and commitment, whether you're an airman in the Air Force, a soldier in the Army, you're in the Coast Guard as a coastie. That's what separates you, those that make that hard decision to serve their country. That's what separates you from the rest of from the population. You do something that's difficult, you do something that's hard, you do something that's often not understood, that comes with a tremendous sacrifice. Whether you're married or not, it's a tremendous sacrifice. You deploy, it takes you away from home, it takes you away from the environment that you're comfortable in, it puts you in an environment where you're on ship since the middle of May and you haven't been off since. You lived in the berthing area where you got a little bitty, cubby hole to put your supply, your belongings that's gonna, get you through 8 months. But Marine sailors don't complain. They're focused. They're excited, and that's what's unique about you and your battle buddies that wear the uniform you serve beside on a daily basis. And for me, Sergeant Major, for us to be able to stand beside you, to be in the same ranks of you, that's inspiring.
The 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, Warriors and Gladiators, a truly resilient, powerful, supercharged, and responsive immediate action force who can do whatever the mission requires and do it with great strength, class, and precision. I have seen this grand consolidation of noble warriors assemble. I have witnessed how impressive it has been for them to initially form, execute varying levels of training, and gel into a phenomenally well-oiled machine that can explode onto the scene with the greatest degree of ferocity, or be the kind and gentle helping hand for those who are in desperate need. The mighty and majestic 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, an organization that has stood proud, strong, and undeterred in the face of many different missions over the span of time. This great consolidation of Marines and sailors, patriots, great Americans who represent the absolute best of America, the shining legacy that cannot and will not be denied. I have been in awe as I observed and watched greatness in action, a group of glorious and selfless men and women, sons and daughters, husbands and wives, moms and dad. It is this magnificent yet microscopic group of people who have been willing to stand up, move out of the shadows and into the light, and do whatever needs to be done in order to keep that glorious red, white, and blue flag flying high in the sky for all to see. symbolizing and echoing from the highest mountaintops, service and sacrifice, freedom for all people. We are talking about the noble and dedicated heroes who are willing to leave home, kiss their children and spouses goodbye, and move to the unknown for something larger than oneself. The true theme of a noble warrior. To move into the unknown, to be hot, tired, cold, and lonely at times, missing birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, first days of school, that dance recital, or the first Little League game. Maybe just being there for their son and daughter when they're looking for mom and dad to talk to. Yet they do it because they believe. It is without question because they believe. These great men and women make such tremendous sacrifices, and our families serve and sacrifice just as much, if not in many ways more. The families of these great and loyal patriots keep the porch light on, the home fires burning. They are our North Stars, our guiding lights, our beacon of strength. Their unwavering and general support provides clarity. There is no words that could effectively communicate the appreciation and love we have for all that you do for us each and every day, but to say thank you. It is important to remember, and in the words of Captain America, this nation was founded on one principle above all else, the requirement that we stand up for what we believe, regardless of the odds or the consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. These are the mighty oaks, the calm, confident, steady force that will always stand for good over evil, provide aid in a time of need, in order to chaos. As they continue to maneuver as America's force in readiness, when the nation and the world is least ready, we have assembled with a common vision, an idea of freedom, a true belief that nothing will stand in our way when it comes to preserving it. Like was once said, we shall travel through this world but once. Any good knowledge, kindness, and motivation we can share with each other, let us do it now, here, today, in these days, weeks, and months to come, and do not defer it, for we shall not pass this way again. We few, we mighty few, we band of brothers and sisters, God bless the selfless and dedicated men and women of the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit. Continue to stay the course. Continue to be the beacon for our country and the world. Continue to reflect the light. And last but certainly not least, continue to put the boom in Shakalaka Boom.